You're listening to the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast, a place for inspiration, empowerment, and personal development, showcasing badass women from all over the world, giving tips on personal development, mindset, and healing. I'm your host, Olivia, transformational success coach for spiritual female entrepreneurs. Now let's dive into this episode. Welcome back to the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast. Your host, Olivia, and also known as Coach Liv here. And this is the season recap for the most impactful guest season. You know, I enjoyed this season so much. There were some wins, and I'm going to do this recap a little different than I have the ones in the past. So I'm going to talk about some of the goals reached, downloads, all that stuff, where, progress I've made thus far. Some of my biggest takeaways from all of the guests, as they were the most impactful, and I've had conversations with them all before. So, and I think I like that. I like going over the recap. So it's like, if something intrigues you, you can go back and listen to it if you haven't heard it, And then I'm going to talk about what's coming up for season 10. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I batch recorded a lot of my podcast because I was making a baby. Well, that baby is here. His name is Solomon Jr. And he's pretty cool. I really like him. I'm just kidding. I love him, but like personality wise, like he's developing. We're gonna have fun. We're really gonna have fun with this guy. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to it. So I reached a major goal of mine, and that is I have surpassed the 10,000 downloads point. This is a long haul game, you guys. So I'm gonna be here for a while, but yeah, I'm so excited about that. This season was the second most downloaded season, and that's only with 12 episodes. My most downloaded season had 20 something episodes, but that was also a beast of a season, man. Like that was a full blown season. But I'll talk about what's coming next, which I think will help propel me, because one of my goals this year is to actually double my downloads, and this year. So basically do exactly what I did in what took me 2 years, do it in 1. So let's see, I encourage you to share this if you find it helpful. Like, share the podcast, help me grow. I would greatly appreciate it, because I do this. I don't get paid to do this. I don't, I do this to educate and really empower other women and men too. I do this to make the world a better place. I find that there's a lot of like negative stuff out there and a lot of just like not helpful information. People just want to be entertained, and people aren't really that big into growing. And in the growing space, it always seems like the same types of people. I really want to help build this platform to be one of those that can make a major positive impact on the world. So if you could join me in helping me do that by sharing and literally just sharing it, that would greatly help me out. All right, so let's get into the takeaways. Now, I've done this in like no particular like order of like my favorite or anything like that. I just started thinking and looking through, and this is how it went. So for Anastasia, now a little bit about Anastasia. She is an amazing human to begin with. She's a businesswoman from Ukraine that has helped 150 women after they fled Ukraine. So she helped them when it came to finding somewhere to live, or just, aiding them with finances, because she had connections from all over the world. And the first podcast, we talked about the importance of networking and how you never really know who you're going to meet and anything like that. Well, in this one, my biggest takeaway from this one from her was you cannot be resilient on your own. It really takes having a community. And she really put this in my mind. I mean, I'm telling you, Anastasia makes me think. Oh man, she's such an amazing human. But yeah, she really makes me think. And she's like, you know what, you need people. And because so many people talk about doing it on their own strength. And I just that was such a good podcast, man. You guys, you got to go listen to it. Danielle Cobo, I love Danielle. Danielle's one of my favorite humans on the world, on the planet. She lives in Tampa. She is an elite. She does a lot. She does a lot. She is such a professional, and my takeaway from her was know when to ask for help and know the help that you need. And I'm gonna tell you, when I was like having my child, I thought about her because she had twins and then had crazy postpartum depression. She also dealt with a hurricane during that time. And it was a lot because she's a super high achieving individual. There would be times like around her sales goals, because she did high level sales. And she does leadership coaching and consulting and helps businesses. And she's currently writing a book. And she talks about avoiding burnout and everything like that because she firsthand experienced it. So her just sharing vulnerably, like, okay, know when to ask for help. This is when you should do it. It's such a nice podcast to add to your toolkit. Not even gonna lie. Charmaine Johnson Fuller. Okay, I'm gonna really be like, oh, I love all of these people. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna get to the point. I love all these people, but Charmaine has a special place in my heart. These first like 3 have a special place in my heart. But anyway, start the change before it comes. A lot of times people know they got some changes coming. They know they're going back to school. They know that they're starting a new job. They know that they're starting something new, and they wait until they start changing. Don't do that. Don't do that. It don't hurt to plan, okay? You know, people are so against planning sometimes, and I'm just like, you know what? Everything does not go to plan, but it's a lot better when you do. Man, it relieves so much stress for me, I tell you what. And it allows me to execute at a super effective level when I've got a million things going on. Just saying. So yeah, that's actually something I'm doing right now. So I go back to work at my fine dining restaurant as the front of house manager, where I'm working 45 to 55 hours a week. I go back to work February 20th. So I've got some major goals that I want to accomplish this year, and I'm a new mom. So I'm already starting the habits now that I need to produce. Like, I'm literally planning out. And I did this when I was in college. I would take the rubric and I would go through it. It would take me an hour. I'd go through each and every week and be like, okay, this is what I need to be working on. And then when the time came, now granted, the things change, the plans change, you just update it. You just update it as soon as they tell you. So just the same, if I know when I'm super busy and got all these things going on, if I know what I need to be focusing on for the week and when I can fit it in, because, you know, my baby's my priority, obviously. Then it just gets done that way. It just does that. And I'm very fortunate to have an amazing partner that is helping me drastically. He is awesome. He actually gets more time off than I do. Anyway, the whole point of that was start the change before it comes. I'm also, this actually makes me bring up this. I am starting a new Facebook group called Level Up with Liv Accountability. Productivity and accountability. So I had one like that before. However, this one is now a small payment of $47 a month. And there are weekly check-ins. There's daily post, except for Saturdays. It's all about making you fit your goals into your busy life, helping you fit your goals into your busy life and actually accomplishing them. So it's a steal. We do one monthly group coaching call to help you work out any kinks that you've got. And yeah, I'm super, super pumped about it. I'm doing it for free. If you've never done this before, it'll be free to try out up until February 14th, up until Valentine's Day. And then February 15th, that is when the payment would be due to stay in the group. And so yeah, I'm going to have that linked below the landing page if you're interested. If you are interested in signing up for the waiting list and participating, because I'm telling you, it's going to be, if you're listening to this at the time. All right, enough about that. Dwan Bent Twyford, another one of my favorites. Okay, so she is a real estate investor, and her trademark is the America's most sought after real estate investor. She's done well over 2,000 flips. But this conversation was not about that. This conversation was about how she was aiding her husband that had cancer, and they were all by themselves. And the message was that your mindset and perspective is everything. You know, you're going to keep going through the same things over and over again until you learn the lesson from it. So learn the lesson while you're in the valley, because life is full of hills, peaks, and valleys. And she's also like a Christian woman too. So we jive on that. And man, I'm telling you, if you are a caregiver, listen to that. Definitely listen to that. She is an amazing woman. And it was a very uplifting conversation. Marcia Roberts. So the first time I had her on was talking about leaving an abusive relationship and tips on how to do that. And she was a season 1 guest. She's been rolling with me from the beginning. And she's still an amazing person. She actually is almost done with her PhD program. Like, I was so happy for her. But one of the biggest takeaways I took from her episode was to pray for your enemies. And a lot of times we forget to do that. But there's so much more peace that comes to you when you do. I'm just going to be honest. Diane Pleuss. She is a franchise fitter. So this is for all of like my money making people that like really are like entrepreneurial minded, might want to be and might consider doing a franchise, but you know, just aren't sure. She's the person to see. And this episode is the one to really know if like having a franchise is for you, even if considering it is for you. Andrea Moses. Love her. Okay, I love everybody. Implementing your boundaries takes work was the biggest takeaway that I took from this, because it's like when you're changing and stuff like that, you got to start, you know, you got to have these boundaries, but you got to actually implement them. It's not just like, oh, I have a boundary now, that's all fine. No, it takes work, because people are going to act like you're not the same. Well, no, you're not trying to. You're trying to change. That's a good one to listen to. Britta N. Now, this one was all about finding, you know, renewed connection in your relationship. And it was, for me, the takeaway was allow yourself the opportunity, you know, to have more in your relationship. Marla Bautista. I love this woman. She's a TEDx speaker. She is helping end homelessness in the Tampa Bay area. And she's also a military wife and author, and mother. And my takeaway from her recent episode was everyone does not have the same 24 hours, because they don't. They don't. And we say that, we really do, but a lot of people have different responsibilities. A lot of people have different priorities. And a lot of people don't have the same resources. Now, I used to be one of those. There's not a lack of resources. There's a lack of resourcefulness. Now, to some extent, I still believe that, but it really all depends. Like, I'm sorry, I can't jump on a private jet right now and go to New York. I could buy a flight. If I absolutely needed to, I would buy a flight and go. I could do that, but I don't have the private jet. You know what I'm saying? I can run, but a person that's in a wheelchair can't do that. You know, and this statement really made me be like, you know what? I can't assume somebody's situation. You just treat everybody with kindness. Jayme, you know what I'm gonna say. It's my bestest bestie, man. All right. She talked about unleashing the beast within and start living the life that you want to now, because it's so limited. You know, your life it's our time here is limited. Time is nothing. It's something we'll never own. So being who you really are, going through the gunk, going through all the other stuff, finding what you really want to do and enjoying the life that you have, enjoying the journey. This is why me and her get along so much, because we're both coaches and we're both similar. We're very similar when it comes to things, but yeah, she is a beast. Such a good podcast. Amanda Mirus. This girl just incorporated her fashion brand. She like explained that in the podcast. I'm like, motivation, right? We're the same age, and she's been doing this for like 10 years or so. I'm constantly seeing her wins, and we're constantly like supporting each other virtually. And it's amazing to see each other in this light. And it's just so inspiring. And from her, she didn't say this, but this is really just something that she owns. Talk less, do more, consume less, produce more, which is also like a mindset mantra that I'm living by this year. You know, she don't really talk about the accomplishments she makes. She just does. Now, she celebrates herself, but she also understands that everybody does not. There's a lot of people out here praying for your downfall. And the less people that are in your business, the better. I'm gonna just be honest with you. And I've experienced that firsthand as well. And I'm not even, you know, executing at the same level. She's been doing this for like over 10 years, you know. She is such a humble, hardworking individual. And yeah, you should definitely take a listen to that if you want to just be inspired. Leah G, this is the last one. So I had her on originally because she lost her daughter, her 1-year-old daughter, when her daughter, on her 1-year birthday, she passed away. And Leah talked about how everything in life is a lesson or a blessing. And I've taken that with me since, and just seeing how she was able to talk about her daughter's death with so much light. It showed that she did the work. And of course, that the feelings come up, that the pain comes up. She acknowledges it. And so that is something that actually I learned from this recent podcast was acknowledge your feelings and take time to heal. And this is something I knew, but this was something that was really reinstated, to really honor and validate your feelings, accept that they're there, and let them go. So even if you just got that, I think that was helpful. Let me know if you thought that was helpful. But those are some of my biggest takeaways from this season. Now, coming up for season 10, I've got some heavy hitters. I've got like this actress that's going to talk about NFTs. And she's been like, she's like I don't know how I get these people. I am very blessed. I'm going to just say that. But I'm also going to be doing weekly solo podcast again. And this season, I'm going to be talking about habits, productivity, and perspective. So, yes, and I'm making these podcasts specifically for the members in my Facebook group. So with like them in mind to really help them out. So it's going to be more of an educational, like informative podcast that they'll actually have action steps too. I don't think they'll be longer than 10 minutes in all honesty. But yeah, that is what's coming up. That's what was, that's what is. And I'm so happy to be talking to you right now. I am. And I'm so excited to see what 2023 is going to bring for you and for me. Now, with all that being said, go out and be a badass.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast. If you found any value in this, please consider sharing and subscribing. Now go out and be a badass.